with the 35th pick, the Cleveland Browns select Nick Chubb, running back.
Good morning, all of you. Good Monday morning, all of you out there. Welcome to another draft edition of the Barking Brown Show. I'm Jacob. That's Bill. We're brought to you, as always, by our friends over at SeatGeek. So make sure you use our promo code Barking Browns, all one word, get $20 off that first purchase. Hey, subscribe. I don't know if the subscribe button works. So just
test it out.
Go down there and let's just see what happens. Maybe give a thumbs up. I don't know. I don't know if that button works. Maybe you give me a little thumb. You tell me. Maybe you go over to the TikTok where we're 43 followers away from a hat giveaway. The.barking.browns out on TikTok. Yeah, maybe you go over there, you do there. And then on Tuesday, maybe you go to the TikTok and you vote on the competition me and Bill are having on who's got the better top 10. So who is going to have to do a punishment. Maybe you go do that on the TikTok on Tuesday. Maybe. I don't know. Bill, how we doing?
Jacob, we're doing good. We're recording this on Saturday night, right around 11:15. Alabama and Auburn are going down to the wire. It was rivalry week this week, and some of the games were pretty interesting. Some of them had me scratching my head, and some of them were like, where has this been all season long? But, man, I'm ready to get into it. I'm ready to dive into it. I think the first place we've got to start.
Fuck Michigan.
You could say that. as an impartial analyst, I say Ohio State took a belt to ass.
Yeah, they could have ran it up.
They could have ran it up. And for people saying Carnell Tate as wide receiver 1, I see your vision. But I'm still sticking with Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M because I watched him against that Texas defense. And for me, Carnell Tate as wide receiver 1 is a tough pill to swallow, knowing that he's not going to test as well as some of these other wide receivers that are in that conversation, the Casey Concepcions, the Jordan Tysons, those guys. You and I, we talked about it Saturday morning when we did our top 50 big board, and we had the conversation about Carnell Tate, which, by the way, folks, after you're done with this episode, go tune back and watch that and see what names we've got where.
We ran out of time, though, so we did not talk about our top 10s very much in detail. It was terrible.
We should, you know what? We said, hey, here's the top 10. These guys kind of know who they are. That is what it is. But I had mentioned it, and I think it's a very possible thing that Carnell Tate doesn't test in Indianapolis at the Combine because his team knows he's not going to run the greatest time because he just doesn't have that speed.
And you know what's really interesting, though, about Carnell Tate, because you're right. Like, he's got good speed. It's good. It's NFL speed. It's vertical speed, but it's not, oh my goodness, who is it that set the record? It's not even like John Ross. I can't think of who recently. Who was it that broke the Combine record?
It wasn't Xavier Worthy. It was his teammate. No, it was Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, it was Xavier Worthy.
It was supposed to be Isaiah Bond.
Said he was going to, and he didn't even get close. But anyway, he's not going to run a 4.2. But that dude is a vertical threat up the seam. Like, he gets that 50-yard touchdown against for Ohio State against Michigan, where it shows his route running prowess, because you can tell that you see that safety and he gives him just a little bit of a false shoulder. Like, he's going to go, and the safety figured it out quickly that was a false move. But because he got that safety to bite, I think he only even took one false step. The safety took one false step, it was over. Beautiful ball from Julian Sayin. You're talking about Carnell Tate hasn't played in a couple weeks. I think he finished 5 for 85 and a touchdown, and it was a 50-yard touchdown in the snow. So me, who does have Carnell Tate as wide receiver one, felt very vindicated. And that was what I wanted to talk about, is like, he may not be the very, very elite athlete, but what he doesn't have there, he makes up with his IQ and his body control. My dad said something during the game that I really, really enjoyed, which was he always goes forward after the catch. He seems to always be going forward. And one thing I think is really cool about Carnell Tate is there was one play where he'll run back towards the quarterback he'll run like a hook route, like if he's runs a comeback where he runs up, stops, turns around. When the ball is thrown, he'll get a running start so that once he can catch it, he can turn around and keep running. And that way he's not catching the ball standing still and have to get and you know what I mean? And like take moving again. He'll run back towards the ball and then loop around and get extra yards. And that's one little subtlety to Carnell Tate's game. And so he is my first standout for this week. And as an Ohio State fan, I try so freaking hard to be unbiased when it comes to this stuff. And I know it creeps in there. But I'm going to tell you, does KC Concepcion have more athletic traits? Yes. I just think the completeness of the game, the way Tate plays, puts him up there. But I have 10 wide receivers in my top 50, if that tells you anything. Yeah. If you go back and watch that episode, you'll know that of our top 50 big boards, where it's like, I put KC Concepcion at 5 and my wide receiver 5, and I feel like I should be burned at the stake.
Mainly by me at this point.
But it's mainly Bill wants to burn me at the stake.
I have him as wide receiver 1, and we talked about it when we did our top 50 big board. But man, from wide receiver 1 to wide receiver 4, that's only 14 spots on my board. This is a year, and I talked about it on the episode, where this year's wide receiver class is last year's running back class. There is a flavor of everything. You could take 2 of everything. If someone took 3 wide receivers in this class, I might be like, hey, is that a little overkill? But if they took a KC Concepcion in round 1 and then a Skylar Bell on day 3, and then you found your way to Jacoby Lane somehow, somewhere in round 3 or 4. Yeah. Yeah.
I think didn't we do a Browns mock recently where I did draft 3 wide receivers?
I think you did. I think
I would not be mad. Get you a big-bodied one. Get you a yak guy. You know. Mm-hmm. So I could get over to you, man. I got Carnell Tate. Give me a standout for you this weekend.
Yeah. So, man, I have to go to the SEC for my next standout, because we've been talking about Oklahoma wide receivers this season, but we may have been talking about the wrong one.
Yes, we have.
We need to start talking about Isaiah Sategna, the Oklahoma wide receiver. And I get it. He's a little undersized at 5'10", 182 pounds. But you watched him in his last 5 games. So that's Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, and LSU.
Oh, those are some good teams.
They are. And in 3 of those games, he has at least 100 yards and a touchdown, including 131 in a TD against Ole Miss, 109 in a TD against Missouri on just 3 catches, and then 121 in a touchdown today against LSU. I get it. The size is concerning because he's 5'10", 182. I'd argue he's probably closer to 175.
Yeah, probably.
But my God, the dude can fly. He's got jets for days, weeks, months, and years. And we just talked about all of the long speed question marks we may have around Carnell Tate, and guys like KC Concepcion have the gas to go. Isaiah Sategna has not been getting the love that he should be, and I'm here to say that comes to a stop now, because this dude is, if he declares, because he is a junior, he can go back. If he declares, this is the guy that is going to absolutely rocket up boards when it comes to the combine and testing.
I listened to a draft pod this week leading into this weekend, where they said the same thing. They were like, we've been talking about the wrong Oklahoma wide receiver the whole time. Not that Deion Burks isn't a good player, because he is, but his teammates been better than him.
Yeah.
It's like there's no if, ands, or buts about it. His teammates have been better than him. So I like that. I like that a lot. I am going to shift gears. I'm going to talk about Dante Moore.
Ooh.
And by the way, next Saturday, our live show at 10 a.m., we're going to reset the quarterback landscape. So we're going to talk about rankings, but it's not really going to be about rankings as much as it's going to be like, it's going to be, the rankings are going to be involved, but you're going to get, we're going to compare it to last year's class. We're going to compare it to what we thought it was 3 weeks ago. Like, because I think shit has changed. We did a quarterback ranking show earlier this summer, not summer, this season. And the landscape's totally different. So the thing about Dante Moore that's really interesting, the Oregon quarterback, he is my quarterback 2. He is inside my top 10 on my big board. You can see that if you check out that episode. But the thing that's interesting about it is our good friend Corey Kennan continues to say, I'll believe these going back when I see it. And I completely agree in the sense that for me, and I have no inside information, I know you have more than I do on this, but I mean, I got a little bit of inside information is what I should say. But my personal feeling is if it was me, if I was Dante Moore, I'd be 50-50 right now, because especially now watching what Ty Simpson just did in this game against Auburn, where it was a bit shaky again, I may be looking at, I think if Dante Moore declares, he's either quarterback, he's either the first or second pick, in my opinion. I really do. That's really where I think he goes, the first or second overall pick. So this week, 20 of 29, 286 yards, a touchdown. He also had a rushing touchdown. Just a smooth criminal, man. Just again, he's just smooth. It looks easy. He had a rushing touchdown, didn't he? Yeah, I said that.
Yes.
But anyway, he had a rushing touchdown. The movement skills are good. 286 touchdown, 20 of 29, 87.1 QBR. Ty Simpson has started to look like a first-year starter, and so because of that, I kind of jumped with Dante Moore up there, and then he goes up against a pretty decent Washington team, and he was kind of surgical again, man. I think that when Dante Moore is on, there were some times when he gets under pressure and some stuff that you can see he's still a little young and inexperienced. But like when he feels himself comfortable and he gets in a rhythm and he starts feeling himself, it's just easy for him. He's good. The accuracy is there. The arm is there. The intelligence is there. The movement skills is there. He's got it all, in my personal opinion. And the Browns are in a weird position because I don't know what's going to happen with Shedeur these final 6 games. But if I was the Cleveland Browns and I was picking inside the top 10 and I didn't think I could go get Fernando Mendoza because Mendoza still remains quarterback 1 for me, I would give up picks. Oh my gosh, did Auburn just muff a punt on their last?
That's what it looks like.
It went out of bounds. So I think Auburn will still get the ball. But anyway, that's embarrassing. But if I was the Browns and say Shedeur just doesn't show us what we hope he shows us, I would be more than okay with multiple picks to go get Dante Moore. I do think he's that kind of player.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think when you're looking at this quarterback landscape, and we're going to talk about it when we get to our quarterback rankings, there are very few
weird class.
It's a weird class because I think Fernando Mendoza is the clear QB1, and that's because the floor for him is still backup level. Like you could still have him as a backup if he completely falls out. But Ty Simpson, we're going to talk about in a little bit. The good is still good, but the bad has gotten worse and the ugly has gotten uglier. And Lenora Sellers, another guy that I'm going to talk about, it's you've said it, man. He's still raw, but I see the traits and I see the flashes, and I can convince myself of a world where I take the swing, but it can't be in round 1. It's the early part of round 2. If you wanted to give the Jackson Dart end of the first round, get the 5th-year option conversation involved with Lenore Sellers, I'm all for that too. I'm all to have that, but it can't be a top 10, top 15 pick for him, even though that's where I have him graded because of how high the ceiling is.
I think he gets the Jalen Milroe draft position if he declares. Where I thought Jalen Milroe was like early day 2 at the latest, and then he ends up going a little bit later because you're just like, he's not ready. I think Lenore Sellers goes back. I don't think we have to have that conversation.
I agree.
But yeah, no, I'm with you.
I agree. But then after that, you get to Dante Moore, and then now you have this conversation of if Dante Moore goes back. It kind of depends on where you go on your quarterback board. I know on my next one was Jaden Mayava, who's my QB5. And there's questions on Jaden Mayava. We talked about it over on the episode that we did on Saturday, that, he could be the Jackson Dart role in the class. A guy you take, get the 5th-year option, and you sit on the bench. Because then after that, man, the quarterback class just falls apart. Because you're looking at John Mateer, who's needs to go back. Garrett Nussmeier, you wish he could go back. Brendan Sorsby probably goes back. Carson Beck, you don't want him to come back, and you don't want him to come out. So I
don't like any of that.
I think, honestly, right now, if you put a gun to my head and you told me who declares, who doesn't declare, Mendoza declares. I would say Simpson goes back, Sellers goes back. From the information that I have been told, Moore goes back, Mayava declares, Mateer goes back. So you're looking at Mendoza as QB1, Mayava as QB2. And now at that point, it is a literal arms race to get to pick one and get Mendoza.
Yeah, that's just the world I hope we don't live in. So let's move past that. Let's talk more about some of these standouts that we like. So give me another guy that stood out for you today or this week.
So another guy that stood out to me. We have to get out of this mindset that defensive players can't be involved in Heisman conversations, because Jacob Rodriguez, while he only had 4 tackles and half a tackle for loss, he has done so much for that Texas Tech Red Raider defense that it is otherworldly. And without him, this defense looks significantly different. By the way, also, he rushed for a rushing touchdown today. And just to top it all off, because people said he didn't do enough, he threw an interception as a quarterback. Why not? He said, I've turned enough of them over. I'll give one back to you. I watched the throw. Jacob, don't switch to the quarterback position. Stay at linebacker and running back.
I didn't watch any of that game, so I had no idea that any of that happened.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, like, if you told me that after everything he's done, Jacob Rodriguez is not in New York as a Heisman finalist, I would tell you, what the fuck are we doing here? If you told me that he didn't find his way into the top 50 in the NFL draft, I'd ask you, what the hell are we doing here? Because there is an innate ability to force turnovers that is loved at the NFL level. If you can force turnovers in college, you can force turnovers in the NFL, and you will find your way onto an NFL roster. He will find his way onto an NFL roster. For me, we talked about it. He's in my top 35. He's my 33rd overall player, my linebacker 4. And I think he goes in the Carson Schlesinger role. I think he finds his way at the top of day 2. Teams are going to say, hey, we have questions on the size, but dude turns the ball over. That's what we need. And he goes right there at the top of round 2, just like Carson Schlesinger does.
You mean the guy that's about to make me a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Carson Schlesinger. My cash out, by the way, it was $5 bet that I put on in preseason. The cash out right now is $105.
Ooh.
It's hard for me to not do that, dude. That's $100, you know. I'm just hoping he has a really good. If it jumps to like 115, 120 against which the game would be tomorrow since we're recording. By then, you guys will know. You guys will know if it jumped up. I'm going to I'm trying to hit the right button here so I can do it. I'm going to go with some action. You want some action coming at you?
I love some action.
I got that. Our boy Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, the safety from Toledo, dude, 2 PBUs. Oh, hold on, let me pull up everything for him. He had 6 tackles, 2 PBUs, and one of the craziest, most displays of athleticism on a diving interception, where at first he just dives out, gets his right hand on it, and then kind of claps it together, and he lands with his forearms on the ground as he slides out of bounds in a snow game. You want to go see you a safety that I think is under. I have him in my top 50. I put him in the top 50. Like I know it's the MAC. I know. Yeah, you had him in your top 50 as well.
Top 25.
Yeah, I know. I get it. It's Toledo. I get all of that stuff. But McNeil-Warren, man, he's a heat-seeking missile. He flies all over the place. Great athlete. Like, somebody's going to take a chance, and they're going to look at this, and they're going to go, yeah, we get it. You played in the MAC, but you dominated in the MAC. And, like, we have seen examples of him putting out just, like, he's got some nice physical traits he can't teach. You can refine him, bring him along a little bit, kind of like ease him into it because it's going to be a giant step in competition. He's a guy that I'm fascinated to see because, he reminds me, they don't play the same position, but it reminds me of when we were having this conversation about Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah.
In terms of like, okay, dominated lesser competition. And then he goes to the Senior Bowl and he's like, no, I'm still that dude. That's what I cannot wait for McNeil-Warren to go to one of these. And I bet he will go to the Senior Bowl or to the Shrine Game, whatever he does. I want to see him go there. But I wanted to give the Toledo safety, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, a shout out because he had a really nice game in Toledo's win over Central Michigan today.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I had him as my top 25, and I think he's a Justin Reed type of safety. The dude's just everywhere and does the exact thing you want your safety to do. He's everywhere. He forces turnovers. He creates problems. The dude is just an out-and-out baller. And for me, if someone told me they spent a first-round pick on it, I'd say they'd look like a genius because we had the same conversation, like you said, with Quinyon Mitchell. We had it with Darius Alexander. Now we're going to have it with EMW. We have to stop saying it's MAC. It's the MAC. It's the MAC.
We had it with Harold Fannin.
Don't forget Harold Fannin. It was had with Khalil Mack way back when Khalil Mack was at Buffalo, which leads me into my next player. Love how I segue that. Because first off, this dude that plays in the MAC has probably one of the baddest names in all of college football.
Let me hear it.
His actual name is Khalil Elijah Murdoch.
Okay.
But he actually goes by his nickname, Red Murdoch, Buffalo Bulls linebacker. Let me just throw some numbers out here for you. 142 tackles, 5 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, 2 of which he recovered, and a pass deflection. In his last 5 games versus Akron, Bowling Green State, Central Michigan, Miami of Ohio, and Ohio, 4 of those games he recorded at least 13 tackles. 6'3", 240 pounds. The dude is everywhere and anywhere that you want. And yes, we had this conversation with EMW just now. We're having it here now with him in terms of it's the MAC. It's a conversation of how high do you take a guy with that level in competition. For me, this is a guy that when I see him, it reminds me an awful lot of like a Duke Riley-esque guy. And when I say that, it's a guy that will fly all over the field, that will do everything and anything you need him to do on special teams. If you took him on day 3 and you had him as a rotational piece at linebacker and a special teams demon,
That's what I was gonna say. Special teams, yeah.
genius. Like, we just watched a Buffalo linebacker and Sean Dolak last year, ended up at the Rams, and now the Rams look like freaking geniuses because they took him. All I'm saying is, when it comes to guys like EMW and Red Murdoch, stop sleeping on small schools. If you ball out, they will find you.
Day 2 is like the perfect spot for those guys too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Quinyon Mitchell was a different case. Like that dude was a dude, but even more so. Not saying that he's that much better of a prospect than McNeil-Warren or anything like that, but it's just like those guys go on day 2 and then you look like a genius. Because I mean, Harold Fannin has just been. It's the guy that I come back to a lot, just because he's the one I've watched the most as a Browns fan. So like I come back to that.
Red Murdoch has recorded almost 300 tackles in 2 years,
which is just
like it.
Again,
insanity.
if you are going to play in that level of competition, I say this every time we have a conversation about a prospect at that level of competition, you better be dominant. That's dominant, because that's what Fannin was. Fannin was dominant, unstoppable. You knew he was the entire Bowling Green offense, and he still set a record. And then he decided he was going to get even stronger and start stealing people's souls in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
As a rookie on a really bad offense.
Yeah. You know, Red Murdoch has recorded double-digit tackles in every game over the last 2 years where he's played up a level of competition. And what I mean by that was season opener against Minnesota, 16 tackles. Then you look at last year, number 9 Missouri, 10 tackles. Northern Illinois, who was number 23 at the time, 12 tackles. Again, you dominate against higher competition at a lower level, you're going to find your way onto an NFL roster.
I'm going to give a quick shout out to my boy Denzel Boston with a couple of touchdown grabs for Washington. They didn't throw for a ton of yards. They only had 129 yards through the air. But in the big moments, you can see the reliability, his size and physicality. You can see that the quarterback leans on Denzel Boston, the Washington wide receiver, especially in the red zone. Almost had a shot at another one too, but he only had 29 yards, but he had a couple of touchdowns. So I wanted to slip that one in there too, real quick.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I will throw in another one going to the ACC safety prospect that I like that's a little bit lower on the radar, but keep the eye on. D'Angelo Hutchinson, the safety for the Louisville Cardinals, had another excellent day, double-digit tackles on the back end of that defense. It's his second straight game of double-digit tackles and third in the last 5 games where he's recorded at least 7 tackles. This would be, again, another one of those special team guys that you take on day 3 of the draft and you say, hey, you're going to be a gunner on special teams for us. You're going to create some havoc. You're going to give us a little bit of fun stuff on the back end. And I think D'Angelo Hutchinson can be that guy.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Because I've been thinking about this all day. Can we find a place to play Diego Pavia in the NFL? Because he's not a quarterback. I get that. He's not an NFL quarterback. I get that. I don't think he's big enough to stand up as a running back. And I know he doesn't have the size, but can he do some of that Taysom Hill gadgety stuff because he's such a good runner and he is a good enough thrower to where if you're doing it as a gadgety thing, similar to Julian Edelman, who was about, could he be that kind of like a slot wide receiver that maybe also gets in the round? Like, I know he's like trying to petition for another year of eligibility or something of that lines, but like there's this part of me every week that like watches him and I'm like, he's probably just a fun college player. That's probably all he's ever going to be. But like part of me wants to be like, could we find a way somewhere to find a role?
Could we find a way to make it work? The problem is I just don't know where you would put him, because you're looking at a guy who's 5'9", 208, that probably runs a 4.7. I mean, it's the perfect size for a running back or a wide receiver, but you don't have the speed, you don't have the burst, you don't have the hand size, because you're looking at 20. You're looking 9 3/8 inches.
I was gonna say everything's small. Yeah. Pause.
It's whoa, pause. Everything's small, but like pause. I mean, if you took him as a third string quarterback that you use on your scout team, that you may use as a backup, like, for example, Arizona, right, with Kyler Murray having struggled, not getting healthy, or even Carolina and Bryce Young. If you already have that small style of quarterback, then using him as a backup is probably a perfect fit, because you don't have to change your playbook around that much. But I don't see a pathway to him at the NFL level.
I don't either. I just want there to be. He gives you every bit that he can. He gives you fucking everything on every play. He leaves it all.
Everything. If he was just 2 inches taller, if he was 5'11", yes, there is a path. But at 5'9", man, like, that's just.
He's literally my size. Like, he's literally my size.
It's just a tough pill to try and swallow. So, another quarterback I'm going to talk about, and you can call me crazy, because that's fine, because I know I am. But are we sure we should be out on Connor Weigman as a QB prospect right now? Because, I mean, you look at what he did against Baylor today, 201 yards and 1 touchdown through the air, and then 121 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground.
The conversation gets interesting if everybody goes back. If Ty Simpson, Dante Moore, Lenore Sellers, if all 3 of them go back, you do have to begin to entertain that conversation. Now, I will be full transparency. Haven't watched a lot of Houston. Haven't watched a lot of him to tell you for sure. But if he's doing that kind of thing, I remember last year going into it, Trevor Sycamore at PFF had him as QB1 going into the 2024 season. So there's been some smart people out there that say, hey, he's got the skill set. He becomes an interesting name if a lot of those other names get taken off the board, like, especially if you add in, like, Brendan Swordsby gets taken off the board too. And, like, if it's just Mayava and, Mendoza and Carson Beck and Garrett Nussmeier and Drew Aller, you're like, maybe I take Wegman above Nussmeier and Aller. Like, I don't know. Like, that's
because, I mean, if you factor in his rushing ability, you're looking at a guy who has 2,800 total yards between passing and rushing, 29 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. That's a day 3 guy that you can have that conversation with, and especially at his size, at 6'3", 210 pounds, with his arm. Before the season started in summer scouting, I had a day 3 grade on him. I compared him to Carson Wentz, because it's the exact same thing you see with Carson Wentz. Big guy, athletic, big arm, can make those types of plays, has moments of the bonehead gene popping up now and again. But, I mean, he's played ever since the Texas. Yeah. In the right system, ever since the Texas Tech game where he got absolutely throttled, he's played pretty well.
Yeah. I'm not completely out on it. I don't see any reason to be completely out on it. Guys, that's it. I think that's it. That's it for today's Monday show. So if you had some standouts that we didn't cover, drop them in the comments down below. Let us know. Yeah. And then make sure you go over to the TikTok and get ready to vote and vote for me. Because I took a bite out of that raw onion like it was an apple for you. And you can't do that to me again. By the way, that's not what I'll be doing if I lose. But we'll figure that out. We don't know. We don't know. We know what Bill's doing. What Bill's doing.
We do.
You want to take bites of some baby carrots.
Ew. That's disgustingly horrible.
At least they don't smell bad like onions do. You know what I mean? Like,
It's true.
They mostly just smell like water. Like as I was unwrapping that onion, I'm like, you could see it if you go watch the video. It's on our TikTok, it's on our YouTube too, and you can see. I'm like, I can smell that thing. I was like, this is. It was like, I had phantom onion for like a day. Like every time I would take a drink of something, I'd be like, does this taste like onions to you? Which like it didn't, but the thing just like hung around and stuff and did things,
Right.
things like that. So make sure you're subscribed, you like, you follow us. Talk about quarterbacks. Get really into the conversation about these quarterbacks this coming weekend, Saturday during championship weekend at 10 a.m. Lots of stuff coming on. We got some potential premium content, some all 22 film breakdown content potentially after the season. We'll try to get that stuff up and we're running over probably on a Substack or something of that nature. So watch out for all that stuff. But so many new folks. The most valuable thing you can give somebody is some of your time. So we appreciate you giving some of your time to us. Hit it, subscribe, give us that thumbs up, hit that bell. We'll see you guys again next time. As always, go Browns and fuck Michigan.